Accept my sorry. I stand here with trembling hands, holding nothing but the weight of my own mistakes. Words heavy as stones pressing upon my tongue. Eyes tired from nights without peace. Heart aching in ways no one else could measure. I never thought the day would come when I would have to beg, not for love, but for the fragile gift of forgiveness. Yet here I am, standing before the ruins of what I broke, asking you to see past the cracks in me, to see the soul beneath the failure, and to hear the sincerity in these words. Accept my sorry. I was foolish enough to think time would heal, that the distance between our hearts would shrink, if I simply waited for the storms to pass. But time, without action, is just another form of silence, and silence became a wall between us. I watched you fade, little by little, your laughter growing quieter, your trust turning cautious, your eyes carrying a weight I had placed there. I see it now, clearer than I ever wanted to, and it cuts me deeper than any wound I've ever known. I cannot undo what has been done, but I can stand in the rain of my own regret, until you believe that my tears are real. Do you remember the early days? How we would speak without counting hours, how we built dreams like castles in the clouds, believing nothing could ever shake us? I replay those memories like fragile glass films, afraid to touch them too hard lest they shatter. You were the safe place I never thought I'd lose, and yet I became the storm that forced you to build walls. I know that an apology is not magic. It cannot erase scars or rewrite the past, but it is all I have, the truest thing I can give in this moment, the naked truth of a heart that knows it has failed you. I am sorry for the words I never said, and for the ones I said too quickly, sharp-edged and thoughtless. I am sorry for the times I chose pride over peace, for the moments I turned away when you needed me to stay. I am sorry for being too blind to see the quiet battles you fought alone, for believing my own struggles were the only ones that mattered. I am sorry for the silence that felt like neglect, for the laughter I should have shared, for the comfort I should have offered, and most of all, I am sorry for making you question whether you were ever truly loved by me, because you were, and you still are, more than I can ever put into words. I want to fix what I have broken, but I know trust does not rebuild in a day. It grows back slowly, like a flower pushing through hard soil, needing warmth, needing time, needing proof that it is safe again. So I will give you that time, and I will be here with every sunrise and every sunset, ready to prove that my regret is not temporary. I will be patient with your doubts, gentle with your pain, and understanding when your heart hesitates to open. Because I am not asking you to forget. I am asking you to let me earn my place again. The nights without you feel like years, and every quiet hour whispers your absence. I lie awake, thinking of your voice, the way it used to carry warmth even in anger. I think of your hands, how they once reached for me, without hesitation, how they now stay folded in your lap, as if afraid to touch what once burned them. I cannot bear the thought that my mistakes have made you fear my love. So I stand here, without excuses, without defense, offering you my truth. I was wrong, I hurt you, and I am sorry. If I could gather every sorry in the world, if I could build a bridge from my heart to yours, out of the words I was wrong, I would do it without question. If I could trade every breath I have left, just to take back the pain I caused, I would not hesitate. But the past is not a place I can rewrite. It is a place I can only learn from. So I come to you not with promises of perfection, but with the vow of effort. Effort to listen more, to speak with kindness, to choose love over pride every time. I remember the way your smile used to rise like dawn over my darkest thoughts. I remember how your presence turned an empty room into a home. I remember the way your laughter could turn the air into music. Those are not just memories. They are the reasons I cannot give up on us. They are the proof that what we had was real and worth fighting for, even now, when everything feels fragile. So if you need space, I will give it to you, but I will not let the distance make me forget what I am fighting for. If you need time, I will wait for you with a patience I should have shown before. If you need proof, I will spend every day proving it, not just with words, but with actions that speak louder than any apology. Because you deserve more than "I'm sorry." You deserve change. You deserve love that shows up, even in the hardest moments. I know you may still be hurting. I know the trust may still be cracked. But if there is even a small corner of your heart that believes in what we once were, please let me stand in that space and build something new with you. Not the same as before. Better, wiser, softer where we were once too sharp, stronger where we were once too weak. So here it is, every word I have, every ounce of my honesty. Accept my sorry. Not because I want to escape the guilt, not because I am afraid of losing you, but because I believe we are worth saving, because I love you in ways I will spend my whole life proving, and because my heart has learned that nothing matters more than holding on to the one person who makes it feel alive. Accept my sorry and let me spend the rest of my days turning those words into something you can trust again. I do not stand here expecting your answer today, because I know forgiveness is not a door that opens just because someone knocks with trembling hands. It is a key you must choose to turn, and I have no right to demand it. Only to hope, only to earn it, only to keep standing in the cold until you decide to let me back into the warmth. I will not rush your healing, and I will not pretend that my apology is enough to erase the nights you cried alone. I understand now that love is not just about feeling deeply, but about acting rightly, choosing the harder road of kindness when pride tempts you to walk away. I understand that the moments I failed you were not just mistakes, they were breaches in the trust we built brick by brick. And I know each brick must be replaced by hand, with patience, with care, with the humility to admit that I broke what I once swore to protect. Some days I wish I could send my heartbeat to you, just so you could feel how it stumbles without you near. I wish I could let you see how every thought of mine eventually circles back to you. How, even in the middle of my laughter with others, a part of me aches with the knowledge that you are not there beside me. People tell me to move on, but they do not understand that love like ours is not something you walk away from. It is a fire that may be wounded by wind and rain, but still burns quietly in the ashes, waiting for a hand to shield it again. I replay my mistakes, not to punish myself, but to learn the language of your pain. I want to understand what silence felt like to you, what my absence carved out of your heart. I want to know how my words sounded when they were not wrapped in care, so I can learn never to send them that way again. I want to be fluent in the language of loving you right, and I am willing to start at the first page and read every lesson twice if I must. I am not asking for things to go back to the way they were before the hurt, because before the hurt, there were flaws I ignored, pride I let grow unchecked, and small wounds I brushed aside. I do not want to return to that place. I want to build something better, something that can weather storms without breaking into silence again. something where both our voices matter, where both our hearts are safe enough to be honest, without fear of judgment or neglect. I am sorry for how long it took me to understand that love is more than just being present. It is being present in the way the other person needs. It is not just showing up, but showing up with gentleness, with eyes that see, with hands that help, with a spirit that says, "You are not alone." I failed at that more times than I can count, and I will carry that knowledge like a compass pointing me toward better choices. And that, my love, is why I kneel, not in some hall, but here and now, not with a priest, but with this pen, to write our sacred, endless vow. You are my wife, where it counts most, not in the system's cold design. You are my wife in every breath. In every space the stars align. I call you mine not out of pride, but from the truth of all we've shared. The nights, the tears, the silent screams, the times we held each other scared. No legal stamp, no banquet loud, could ever match the things we've done. The way you stayed, the way you loved. You're not just someone, you're the one. So let them whisper, let them doubt, let their rumors flood the air. They'll never touch the sacred place, where you and I exist so rare. We've made a world the laws can't reach, a temple no court could destroy. We've woven vows in silence deep, and raised a home with nothing coy. For love is not a show to watch. It's not a dress or set routine. It's not the photos or the fame, or walking down some aisle scene. It's when you stay when storms arise. It's holding hands when hope is thin. It's laughing when the lights go out, and still believing deep within. So baby, let me say it loud, to all who point and speak in spite. She's not my wife by their small rules, but in my soul, she shines so bright. She's not my wife in black and white, but in the deepest ink of me. She's more than titles ever grant. She is my love, eternally. They'll never see the vows we made, the ones we whispered in the dark. They'll never feel what I still feel each time you kiss away the stalk. They'll never grasp what makes us whole, or why I call you home with pride. But baby, I'll keep holding you while they stay cold and misinformed outside. You're more than wife. You are my soul. You are my fight, my calm, my muse. You are the truth beneath my skin, the only love I'd never lose. So let them write their petty tales. Let them spread all that they believe. But you and I will live our truth in ways that paper can't conceive. And when I die, remember this. They said you weren't my lawful bride, but in my last and final breath, your name will still resound with pride. Not as a rumor, not denied, but as the queen who bore my flame, the woman I chose with all I am, no matter what they ever claim. Baby, she is rumored she is not my wife. They whisper lies in alleyways, in corners where the shadows meet. They poison love with crooked tongues, as silence shuffles down the street. They see her smile, they doubt her ring. They claim she's not the one I chose, but they don't know the battles fought, or every thorn beneath our rose. They say she's just a passing flame, not worthy of my soul or name. But love, my dear, is not for show, and truth will never burn in shame. They speak of paper, ink, and law, of titles, dresses, wedding veils. But what we have is born of heart, beyond what shallow rumor hails. She came not dressed in diamond light, no golden chains around her hands. She came with scars and silent strength, like waves that kiss forgotten sands. I saw her first with tired eyes, yet in them burned the fiercest fire, the kind that melts the cynic's gaze, the kind that shatters false desire. So let them say what they will say. Their gossip tastes of bitter wine. Their world is wrapped in formal truths, but ours is sewn in thread divine. They ask me why she bears no mark, why temples didn't chant our bond. But baby, you and I both know, our vow was whispered far beyond the reach of witnesses, beyond the ink upon a page, beyond the priest, beyond the laws, beyond society's small cage. I didn't choose you for the crowd. I didn't ask for stage or cheer. I chose you when the nights grew cold, when every other soul grew fear. I chose you when the stars were blunt and moonlight couldn't find our skin. I chose you when my past returned and tried to drag me back within. I chose you when your voice was weak, but still you spoke, despite the pain. I chose you when the world said no, but still you stood against the rain. Baby, they can't see the truth. They're blinded by the roles they play. They've never tasted storm-swept love, or knelt to weep and choose to stay. They've never fought against the tide, when every friend became a foe. They only marry for applause, not for the seeds they'll one day sow. But you, my love, you held my hand when demons whispered through the door. You never asked for anything, yet still, you always gave me more. They claim you're not my legal bride, as if that stamp defines your worth. But you're my morning, night, and dawn. You are my heaven here on earth. Let them point, and let them mock. Let them raise a glass to lies. Let them scribble headlines bold. Let them roll their judgmental eyes. They never saw the nights we cried, or how your hands healed every wound. They never saw you touch my soul and sing my silence into tune. You are the reason I still breathe, the song that made my heartbeat dance. You are the ink beneath my skin, the rebel's vow, the second chance. You are the light that fights my dark, the prayer that never asked for fame. You are my wife in all but law, but still, you proudly wear my name. In hidden places we have kissed, where love was free from fame's harsh flare, where no one asked to see a ring, or judged the way you wore your hair. You brushed the ashes off my chest. You taught me how to smile again. You lit a candle in my mind and pulled me back from years of pain. So baby, when they scoff and say, she's not your wife, just some affair, I'll laugh, because they'll never know how deep you live inside my prayer. They chase illusions, chase the norms, but we have walked the narrow trail, where bonds are forged in sacred fire, and love itself is never frail. You were my choice, not by the rule, but by the bleeding of my soul. You were the hand I held so tight, when life lost all its sense and goal. You never asked me to defend, you never asked me to explain, but still I'll speak, because you stood, even as the world called us insane. I saw you wear your silence proud, when they all mocked your gentle grace. I saw you stand with dignity, when envy tried to take your place. You never fought with sharpened tongue, you never stooped to play their game. You simply loved me, fierce and real, while others only loved my name. Her smile was loud, but her pain was silent. Everyone saw her smile. It was the kind that could light up an entire room, disarm the coldest hearts, and bring comfort in chaos. People often said it was infectious, that her presence alone lifted moods. Strangers gravitated toward her, friends leaned on her, and loved ones bragged about her strength. But no one knew the truth. Her name was Anya. To the world she was sunshine, personified bright, radiant, and full of life. She laughed easily, often, and with such sincerity that it felt real even when it wasn't. What they didn't see was the pain she carried like a second skin. It was invisible to the eye, but deafening in the silence of her solitude. Her smile was loud, but her pain was silent. Growing up, Anya learned to hide her feelings, not because she wanted to deceive, but because vulnerability was met with discomfort, disapproval, or indifference. The first time she cried in front of her father, he said, "Don't be weak. Life is hard. You need to toughen up." When she confided in a school friend about being bullied, they laughed and shared it with others. Slowly, she retreated inward. By the time she was a teenager, Anya had mastered the art of emotional disguise. She became the go-to friend, the reliable daughter, the classmate everyone liked, but inside, her mind was a storm. She cried into her pillow most nights. She kept a journal under her bed, pages soaked with ink and tears. That was her real self, not the smiling girl in the yearbook, but the quiet soul who wrote, "I'm tired of being strong. I just want someone to notice I'm not okay." University life didn't change much. In fact, it deepened her isolation. Surrounded by people, yet lonelier than ever, she became a master at wearing masks. She hosted parties, gave speeches, helped others with their problems. No one ever asked about hers. They assumed she was happy because she seemed so. The truth is, she felt invisible. Her pain was not the kind that screamed for attention. It whispered. It showed itself in her silence after conversations, in the long pauses before she answered, "I'm fine," in the way she stared at her phone, hoping someone would text first, in the way she laughed too hard or gave too much. Sometimes, Anya would go on long walks at night. The city buzzed with life, but she felt disconnected from it. Underneath the streetlights, she would look up at the sky and think, do stars feel lonely too, surrounded by other stars, but still so far apart? She often envied the moon. It was distant, but still noticed. She kept her grades up, she smiled in photos. She listened when others vented. She was everything everyone wanted her to be, except herself. There were days she wanted to scream, to fall apart publicly, just so someone would ask her what was wrong. But she never did, because she knew the answer. "But you always seem so happy." One night, overwhelmed and exhausted, Anya opened her journal and wrote, "If one more person tells me how strong I am, I might break in half. I don't want to be strong. I want to be held. I want someone to look past my smile and see me crying behind it. I want silence to stop echoing back at me. I want someone to stay." Her smile was loud, but her pain was silent. Everyone saw her smile. It was the kind that lit up a room, filled spaces with warmth, and made people feel welcome, even when they barely knew her. Her laughter rang like a melody, catching on like sunlight through a window. But few noticed that her eyes told a different story, a quieter, sadder one. Her name was Anya. To the world, she was the happy one, the always available friend, the first to comfort others, and the last to ask for help. But behind her loud smile was a silence so deep, even she couldn't fully understand it. It was the silence of being unheard, unseen, and unnoticed in the moments when it mattered most. Anya had learned early on that emotions make people uncomfortable. As a child, when she cried, she was told to stop. "Be strong," they said. "Don't make a scene." So she did what every quiet soul learns to do. She hid her tears, tucked her fears away, and began to build a fortress made of smiles. In school, she was popular, not because she wanted attention, but because she gave it. She noticed the lonely kid in the corner, sat next to the quiet ones, and made people feel like they belonged. Her energy seemed endless. Teachers praised her. Friends adored her. But none of them knew about the nights she cried into her pillow, muffling sobs so no one would hear. Not even her parents. She didn't want to burden anyone. That word burden clung to her like a shadow. So she made sure she was the sunshine. Always cheerful. Always helpful. Always fine. Anya kept a journal, her safe place. The pages held truths she dared not speak. On one page she wrote, "I laugh so loud because silence reminds me I'm alone." Another said, "I hug others so they won't see how badly I need one." Her pain wasn't the dramatic kind. It was quiet, the kind that builds slowly, layer by invisible layer. It was the feeling of being surrounded by people but feeling utterly alone. It was showing up for everyone and realizing no one shows up for you. It was emotional exhaustion masked by productivity. It was compassion fatigue. It was love given without return. Sometimes she thought of opening up, but whenever she did, she met responses like, "You're overthinking it," or "It's not that bad," or "But you always seem so happy." So she stopped trying. The most heartbreaking part, even she began to believe that maybe her pain didn't matter. Maybe she should be okay. After all, others had it worse. She shamed herself for feeling heavy when she carried no visible weight. But emotions don't work that way. Suppressed pain has a way of demanding attention. It leaks through the cracks. One day, in college, a professor assigned a writing prompt. Write a letter to someone who doesn't know the real you. My queen, you will know immediately, and I am afraid. Afraid not of you, but of what I become in your presence. How everything solid inside me becomes uncertain. How my voice, trained in command, trembles like a child's when you enter the room. You will know, because I have no mask, strong enough to withstand your gaze. No words, neutral enough to hide what I feel. When I look at you, you will know, because love, no matter how deeply buried, leaks through silence, and my silence has become a confession. I do not know when it began. Perhaps in the quiet moments, when you stood at the balcony, unaware of my watching, your thoughts adrift like clouds, and I felt the entire weight of your solitude settle into my chest. Or perhaps it was in the throne room, your voice calm but final, your hands resting on justice like it was born from you. And I knew then that power and grace could live in the same body. My queen, you will know immediately, because your name lives in my mind, like a song I hum, without meaning to, because your presence pulls my attention, like the tide is drawn to the moon. Inevitable and aching, I am afraid, not of rejection, but of the possibility that you feel nothing at all. Afraid that I have built a castle of feeling on sand, that one word from you will bring it crashing. And yet, if you ask me to forget you, to erase this from my heart, I could not. I have lived too long in the warmth of your light, too long with your voice echoing in my thoughts, too long pretending I do not crave what I dare not seek. You are not just my queen. You are the axis around which my entire world turns. I see you when I close my eyes. I hear your laughter, even in my solitude. I carry your words like a soldier carries orders, close to the chest, etched in fire. You will know, because even in silence, I am loud. Because when you speak, I forget how to respond. Not from ignorance, but from reverence. I do not love you as men love women. I love you as people love things they can never hold, only worship from a distance. A sunrise, a holy relic, a storm. I have imagined your touch 1,000 times, not as pleasure, but as release. The moment when all the pressure in my chest dissolves, and I am allowed to simply feel. but I would never reach for you without invitation, because to reach is to risk the kingdom. To hope is to place my head on the block. So I stay still, I stay quiet, I serve and hope that in some quiet corner of your heart there is a space, not for duty, but for me. Do you see it? In the way I listen only to your voice, in the way I stand just a little closer than necessary. Do you see it? In the way I say your name, not with formality, but with a kind of hunger I cannot swallow. I don't want your throne. I don't want your power. I want your tired evenings, your unguarded glances, your laughter when no one else is watching. I want to see you when you are no longer a queen, but simply a woman with a soul too big to be held by titles. But I know that some desires must live in silence, that some loves are not meant to be returned, only carried like a secret fire that burns without destroying. So yes, you will know immediately, because I am no longer a man who hides well, because you are not a woman easily fooled, and I am afraid, because love like this does not end. It simply waits for a moment, a glance, a mercy, and should that never come, then I will carry this flame until it consumes me, silently, willingly, gladly, because loving you, even in silence, even from afar, is the one truth I will never regret. My queen, you will know, and I will wait.